All right, welcome to the 177th episode of the World Blockchain Roundtable. Our hosts for today are, let's see, I'm going to go in order that they're, not that they're listed, but that they are showing on the screen. Greg from Rivet and Clockwise, Zach from the Legacy Right. We don't know if Andrew's going to show up or not. There's weather issues. And I am, or William from, what are you from, William? From Den.Social.
I'm from Planet Earth.
From Planet Earth. Okay. And I'm Joe.
I thought you were from Pluto.
Yeah,
From Dragon Chain.
Goofy.
And Dracaria and all that stuff. We don't know if Sean's going to show up. Lisa's going to be late, we think, right? So we'll see. And, maybe Dave will show up. And I actually think I have memes related to John's current tunnel exploration. So hopefully we'll see something from John. And I think you'll be able to see him in the crowd in one of the videos that I have later for today. So anyway, so first, a quick update on the World Blockchain Roundtable layer ownership tokens distribution from last week's episode. Oh, look at that.
There we go.
What happened? Okay, so Greg froze maybe? I don't know. Your machine. Okay, no worries. So every last week's topic was distribution of tokens, space. What have we learned so far on this topic? ? And every host from last week, it was a good show, will receive 533 lot. Every topic contributor from last week will receive 666 lot.
Wow.
And the last week's theme was nominated by Dayrox, who will also receive 666 lot. I see that William is kind of slacking there. The Dayrox got the last topic in. That was pretty good. Right on, Dayrox.
They're getting more votes than me.
Dayrox. Dayrox with 1 share of evil. Maybe they won't come after Dragon Chain anymore if they know that we give away 666 tokens for.
That's right. That's right.
Maybe they'll just say, "Oh, maybe these guys are all right. We won't touch them anymore."
Yeah.
Sometimes accidents happen. Ownership tokens come with the passive income from inside the layer, free edits inside the layer, and most importantly, governance votes. I think I'm gonna post a governance vote based upon something that I experienced this past week on a different show. So the theme of this week is layer 1s versus layer 0s. Okay, and so I think William was going to
audible. I didn't have time to do a lot of questions last night, but I did have, so I only put up 2 questions. Normally I put up 3. So because I spent time explaining what a level 0, level 1, level 2, whatever is. So my audible suggestion is that we go to the definitions, my definition post, and go over what the different types of layers are in blockchain.
Okay.
That's my audible. You guys agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Let's define a layer 0.
I'm fine with that.
And is it? I think it is.
It's the one with the red picture. It says definitions.
Here we go. Okay, let me. Okay, it is. I'm already on the right one. I just have to pop it up. This one right here.
It didn't get any votes, so it's not near the top. But,
okay, I'll show the picture real quick.
Yeah.
Layer 0.
You could even leave it there. You could just leave it there. So
you have examples in the.
That's true. That's true. Well, I got it open here on my second monitor. I guess
you can read through that. I'll let you read it. Okay.
So the layer 0, as I am defining it, it is my matrix. It is my world. So, a layer 0 is basically the fundamental infrastructure or how the blockchain is built, and to maybe allow interoperability, ability to communicate with blockchains. That would be how I would define, or how others have defined, a layer 0.
This is accurate.
And then a layer 1 would be, and examples of a layer 0 would be Polkadot, Cosmos. Those would be blockchains.
And you can sort of call layer 0, or sort of call the Ethereum beacon chain a layer 0, kind of, but in the future it will be more of one.
I would
Okay.
say Dragon Chain Network would fit in there.
Yep.
Dragon Net, but where all of the blockchains, the verification chains, as well as the business or use chains operate that way. But then layer 1 would be each of those chains, right? So
Yeah.
Dang it. I knew this was going to happen because that was one of my questions. So you just stole my thunder. Joe,
The
about
key
Dragon
difference, the key difference, I think, is that right now both Dragon Chain and the Ethereum Beacon Chain are designed to serve one ecosystem as opposed to as many as possible.
wrong.
And that
Dragon
that
Chain,
would
that's the
be-
purpose of it. It's meant to, and the reason that it's not protocol, it is protocol agnostic. That
yeah.
you can plug in any other chain. That's why it's.
Okay, well,
I've
then
always
maybe it's
gone
more
that
of a
way.
layer 0 than people
Yeah.
acknowledge.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Continue on.
So then, if so, really, again, layer 0 is designed to improve interoperability, right? Layer 1 is your typical, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Zano. There you go. Those would be base blockchains
And
where transactions are
add-
directly written to their blockchain.
I would add that their primary function is to provide security.
Yes, I
Yeah.
would say that. An example,
Yeah.
and then you have within that layer 1, you have the proof of work, proof of stake, other ways that they secure their networks. So that's your layer 1. Your layer 2 is the scaling solution that's built on a layer 1. Real simple to explain would be Lightning Network
Or Bitcoin Cash, even with
scaling
the forks.
Well,
In EVM
Polygon.
land, anything
Well,
forked off
yeah.
of Optimism counts.
So your layer 2 is about scaling solutions to help the layer 1 if from to fight congestion on layer 1. So that's what the layer 2 is there for. It's a secondary blockchain.
So, quick question. So, layer 2 effectively gives layer 1 like utility effectively. Yeah, I guess in layman's terms.
Maybe
Treat me like a
that.
treat me like a retard on this subject.
No,
It's,
you're
I
good.
am.
You're good. I
Yes,
would say
it's sort of
I would
like-
I'm
say
learning.
think of it as a traffic jam, and the layer 2 is the bypass from the traffic jam to try to mitigate.
Yep.
That's
a pretty good way to think about
keep
it.
the traffic flowing.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Layer 2
So the utility
that's
doesn't
can be
change.
thought of as a general dApp chain. One that's meant to allow for multiple different use cases to run, but it's also in the same sense that a dApp chain is a way to segregate a certain class of traffic off of the main chain and give it a little bit more throughput.
Right. The detour, a workaround, for scaling. So then we go to layer 3. Layer 3 are your dApps, and they are going to utilize blockchain as well. But there are, your DeFi dApps, your
Forecaster is a great
Uniswap,
example.
Uniswap, your DEXs, OpenSea for the NFT, DEX kind of thing.
Forecaster net is a really great example.
There you go. Yeah.
Because its sole purpose is to provide a chat layer, essentially, or a Twitter-like layer.
Right. So your decentralized applications, that's what you could call a layer 3.
Okay.
So there you go. So now that we're going to go into the questions of layer 0, layer 1s, we kind of got to maybe
That's
a better
great.
feel.
I have 2 questions before we and by the way, if this is an audible, do you get rewarded for this one? Now, you probably have another question that will get anyway. But anyway, I have 2 questions. The first of which is in terms of layers, Jack Mahler's hoodie. What layer would that hoodie be?
Ugh.
I'm just joking. And the third is, or sorry, the second question is that it's not really a question. It's kind of a something to see what you guys think about this. My problem with having these definitions, it's great if you like say it's a construction that lets you illuminate a concept, or okay, I'm gonna call this prior to all this layer nomenclature, let's say, Dragon Chain used the word levels, right? And it was levels that were somewhat akin to these, but we had a few defined that we had purposes for inside of an enterprise organization, and that expanded when we went to a public network where anybody could be a part of that same network instead of it just being inside of one organization. And they were all based upon types of consensus. Okay, somebody's going to run something in order to give us consensus here, but there were how do I say, undefined levels where it would be things like this, where your application might have a particular purpose for part of that consensus process, where you run a smart contract up here. You aren't just verifying my business logic down here. You're doing something with it up here that matters for your application. And the problem I have with some of these is that if they are considered as a universal, everything fits into this, it's not that it confuses it. It is helpful in many ways, but you have to be really cognizant, because sometimes it will give people tunnel vision, that they won't see anything outside of this structure, in which case they're not going to be as creative. And that's an
so
issue.
You can't think of things like parachains and stuff like that if you
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that was a great post. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
So
and kudos to Earth Dragon for posting this topic.
Earth Dragon.
It's been out there for a while. We finally got the votes.
Excellent.
So
that is awesome. Okay, are you guys ready?
I am.
Day Rocks for the first question. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna blind vote on this. Don't complain. I'll unvote it if it's bad. Question: what is layer 0?
Wow. I guess we.
So we already answered it. Do we go on? We consider it answered though, right? He gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
An
Good
interesting
question, Dara.
An interesting aspect
don't.
of layer 0 is you would think that they were released in numerical order, but really not, right? Layer 1 came first, and layer 0 was an answer to a problem created by multiple layer 1s existing that people wanted to interoperate between.
And I will contradict your answer there. That in the Ethereum world, in the Ethereum universe, that is correct. But we were running this stuff at Disney, where layer 0 was our whole purpose. We wanted to be able, and by the way, we wanted to be able to combine not just, and very, very, very importantly, we didn't want to just provide interoperability between chains, because you think about it, a normal enterprise organization in 2014 really didn't give a shit about blockchains. They didn't know what they were going to be used for, right? We wanted to be able to integrate blockchains interoperable, make blockchains interoperable with other blockchains and other traditional systems, right? So I would say, I mean, I was trying to tell them back then the scalability. They was like, "You're an idiot, Joe. You don't know what you're talking about." And then it's like, "Oh, we have these layer 2s." Oh, okay, all right, whatever.
I would also add that maybe I'm wrong here, but thinking back to 2014, 2015, but layer 0 was kind of people were struggling when the centralized everyone was talking about decentralization, but we were going to these centralized exchanges to trade Litecoin for Bitcoin or vice versa or whatever. And so I think people are looking at interoperability for blockchains to communicate with as a way to try to decentralize the ability to buy and not risk, because we were all about no third parties. We didn't want third parties. But without interoperability, you're going to you need a third party, especially in the early concept.
If you remember Cosmos, their first thing about interoperability or interchain was that they wanted to have a decentralized oracle for pricing. And I'm like, God, guys, come on. It's like there's so many things we could do. Anyway,
I have a question about that.
Yes.
So I spoke at University of Utah, and they asked, like, kind of what's needed or where do you see the next thing coming? And I thought back to like email, how you know how at AOL you could only send inside or whatever, and it wasn't until the cross chain thing happened. So can someone other than me create a cross chain interoperability without a third party?
You can.
Yeah.
It's very
I mean,
difficult.
Yeah, I don't.
Well,
Well,
let's
it depends
define
upon
the
your
third
context,
party.
but yeah.
Let's define the third party. If the third party is more of a smart contract or something that's on a blockchain that's allowing the communication between two blockchains, would that be considered a third party? I don't know.
Not really. I mean, I think
No.
that is the technology replacing the need for a third party.
The third
Yeah,
party.
totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and by the way, one of the big things that that we noticed was missing, and it's surprisingly still missing everywhere else, is the ability for a smart contract to independently take action, right? You know, based upon time or some other event, without someone outside calling it, which was the purpose of, you know, the reason we need oracles and all this. It's like, why why not just make the smart contract? If it has to fund itself, sure, to do something. But I mean, our smart contracts allow that. It still kind of blows my mind that nobody else has copied that.
Yeah.
Because that's
Well,
one of the things that would help if you had chains that could talk to each other, where I don't have to touch them. The smart contracts is like, oh, something happened. I need to ask this chain something or do something over
Right.
there.
Right.
That's important.
This is also I think a thing between layer 1 and layer 2, right? Where I think a lot of the near history of development, especially in EVM land, is going to be tailoring the layer 1 to interoperate without any sort of intermediary software directly with layer 2s, right? So that Polygon or whatever can make a call to Ethereum layer 1 without having to have some intermediary that translates between the two.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you want to go down? Zach,
good.
did you have anything for that?
Oh,
Anything you want to offer?
I'm learning.
Okay, right
I'm
on.
listening.
Right on. Ooh, an anonymous question. Right on. But it has a meme that looks suspiciously like one of Williams.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Anyway, Web 3.0, new generation. Should Web 3 be a layer 0? It's an anonymous question, and I do think it's original and a question.
I think Web 3 has to be like a lot of different stuff, right? For instance, it has to have the capacity to serve as a web server layer that's decentralized as well. So like it needs something like IPFS for hosting. You cannot put all of Web 3 on a blockchain. Blockchains need to be an element of Web 3.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay.
Web 3 is, I don't know. Web 3, I don't think is even defined yet. I mean,
well, that's why I say the same thing. It's not everything's going to fit into these this layer construct, and this is one of them. That, in fact, if you were to try to say no, Web 3 is something like that, it's going to limit what Web 3 is, right? So, because I think Web 3,
right
now, you might disagree, but I think whatever Web 3 is, or whatever Web 3 interacts, not all of it's going to be decentralized. In fact, you're going to want some potentially centralized systems to be able to interact with decentralized systems, and that's part of it. So,
right, yeah,
exactly. And we want to avoid this,
especially early on.
We want to avoid the hijacking of Web 3.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right, right. Well, and especially early on, you're going to have like certain corporate entities that people are going to want to interoperate with, right? Like, if you wanted to, for example, subvert the fact that Facebook centralizes all the information that it takes from you by also piping it simultaneously to a decentralized alternative to Facebook, In the same way that you can multi-post to different social media platforms using sort of a layered over or like a shell of like Hootsuite, for instance, can be connected to both X and what's the federated alternative that came out first. Can't think of it off the top of my head. Mastodon.
Not Mammoth, Mastodon. Yes,
Mastodon,
It's
yeah.
one of those
Oh.
elephant
Yeah,
creatures.
so like you can take those sorts of tools and connect them both up, and that's sort of a way to do a centralized pipe to a decentralization system. If you also connect up things like Farcaster to that, right? Like,
Isn't it funny that Mastodon is more controlled than Twitter even? You can't
it's
you
kind of
can't
weird.
use it for some things. It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
Czar15 has a comment that we won't touch yet until current events. How about that? Trump, no CBDCs and whatever else. Okay, so let's go back to question. Anybody else? You go ahead and offer up if you have any answers.
One last comment about Web3 is I think the most important thing I want to see is an internet that can't be turned off, controlled, like the internet is dead.
The way it's supposed to be.
These things. This is what I want to see. Even like IoT devices running the internet, shall we say, being able to, we can freely access anything we want on a new internet.
I think the key to it, if I had to add
stole my comment.
to Gwei to the whole thing, would be that Web3 needs to be entirely censorship resistant, such that the code is unstoppable. It needs to be the unstoppable code version of Web 2.
But code is speech, right? So we need freedom of speech. And I had a friend of mine years ago kind of introduced to me the idea that, we're so hung up on this decentralization versus centralization. And he was like, what if it's about distribution? And we're watching right now where with these hurricanes and all this stuff, Elon is sending Starlink enabled cell phones to people. And so that could be a way where it's distribution, not centralization. Think about it that way instead of like
distributativeness.
Distributed. Yeah. Anyway,
basically taking the idea of digital federated networks and applying it to real world scenarios.
Right.
I mean,
and then also making sure that the infrastructure that's running it is also unstoppable code, so that there's in the sense that it needs to be no particular entity existing that you can point a gun at and say, turn that off, sir. If the answer to that question, no matter what layer of the stack you point the guns at, is we can't.
Well, and when it's a private business that's international, then
and they pushed. Did she freeze?
She froze.
They did push like all IT infrastructure into cloud. I think partially for the small portion that where they will need to shut something off, they'll have their hands around the neck right there. But even more so, the fact that they can watch every damn thing to the depths that's going on in your systems, because I guarantee to you they do that. And so if you have anything that is sensitive in that way, or privacy is important, guess what? There's no such thing. It's already all compromised.
All you got right now is the obfuscation of the crowd, right? We have security by obscurity only when it comes to keeping things they don't want up.
Yep. Yeah, I've had conversations with Lisa. Hopefully she comes back. I've had conversations with high ups at least one of the cloud providers that made it very obvious, and it was kind of unintentional. I kind of just ribbed them a little bit with a joke about 3-letter agencies being embedded, and no laughs. I mean, it was obvious. It was like, oh shit, that's real. Anyway,
on the hardware side too, it's not just on the software.
Oh yeah, everywhere too. It's like it's far worse than Orwell. It's like if you went back to
You gotta pay cash
the
if you
50s
pay
and-
cash on the spot if you want to avoid having your shit intercepted on the way and having something installed in it.
Yeah, and think about it.
Mhm.
It's end to end. All of society. There are memes where it talks about if you showed today's world to someone from the 50s, they would see it as so dystopian they wouldn't be able to believe that it would actually get there. And that's just with a picture. Then you tell them it's like, oh, and also every single piece of hardware you're going to have a computer in your pocket. It was like, oh, really? Yeah, but the government's going to be right there too, right? Or they go, whoever,
Yep.
Intel Superstate.
Yeah, I think the key really is ultimately personal cloud, right? Like you need
Yeah.
to have your own.
Well,
There's this old quote by Moxie Marlinspike about how you'll never really have free internet because nobody wants to host a web server.
yeah.
And in reality, what you need
Very
is
true.
a system that makes hosting a web server as intuitive as working with a computer in your pocket.
Yeah, but the problem is all of the hardware you buy to host that web server is still compromised. So it's a very weird thing, and frankly, it's solved with honor, honesty, and good people, which don't exist at those levels of power. So anyway, whatever. Okay, I am for I am. We're finally to your question.
Yeah, finally.
Okay, first layer. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh, yeah, I did. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I'm very embarrassed to ask this question, but ask it anyway. Dragon Chain has some features that might give it layer 0 characteristics, particularly focus on interop with other blockchains. It appears to me that Dragon can act as a bridge or connector between different blockchains, but it is primarily built as a layer 1. Question, is it a layer 0 or layer 1? And I would say we existed before this, so we weren't trying to. That's what I talk. The creativity meant. It's like, what the fuck ever. It is what it is. Right.
I always thought of Dragon Chain as a polychain myself.
Well, because it's not like, say, if you looked at the business node, that's its own set of code. That is what you would call a layer 1 now, where this is intended. Here's the chain, you launch it, you run it, you use it. Whereas the network and how the protocol itself, I guess, would be what you now think of as layer 0. But it's interesting to me too that I think it might be a layer -1 because. We're gonna go there because I still tell you, and I was right about this back then. I can tell you that because I know I'm right about it now. That interoperability between blockchains is so significantly less important than interoperability with other shit, right? That the other stuff is what will get blockchain into real use because you're taking these systems that are already out there. You have parking meters and you have other systems where people are using technology that are extremely easy. If you haven't written a shit protocol, by the way, they're extremely easy to integrate in with the blockchain. And that was our goal. We want this to be able to permeate where a company, a startup, or a person
the idea is
get into what they need to plug it into. And they don't have to think, that system's not decentralized enough, so I cannot, I can't do anything with it, or it's like, no, I need to, anyway. There's a bunch of crazy stuff.
It's like Internet of Things is Web 2. Dragon Chain being Web 3 would make it the Internet of Chains, kind of, right? But
it's everything. It's just basically a way to integrate the blockchain tech with it's Dark Lisa returns the blockchain tech with anything, right? Which is what's needed. It isn't, I don't need to be able to connect Polygon to Cosmos. I mean, do I? Is there some reason I would want to connect Polygon to Cosmos? How's that gonna? Is that gonna save any babies in Palestine? No, right? So if I can connect, blockchain to something real that would actually, change something, then you can affect anything. Right. So anyway, sorry.
So then the follow-up question is, if it is a layer 0 or -1, does that make Dragon Chain the first layer 0 or -1 blockchain ever created?
I would think so, but we've had somebody say that in 2019 or something like that, they created the first interoperable hybrid blockchain. And we had that in like 2015. We started in 2014, but I wouldn't say it was operational until 2015 at Disney. And then it was still private. So, but then we released it in 2016. So, it's like we got 3 years on you, but they were still, it was it was written in some crypto press thing, and we wrote to them, it's like, hey guys, I mean, I don't think that's correct, but they were paid, so they weren't gonna retract.
Oh no, I've seen the same thing work with Rivet, where like Alchemy was claiming they were the next to market right after Infura, but we
Really?
actually launched our open public beta on the same day that Infura announced their pricing. So Rivet was technically first to market.
I used to see. I believe you, and I mean, you have the
We
proof,
couldn't convince
so
the stupid journalists to republish. So yeah,
they had some other influence. I used to think it was a flyover country issue.
yeah,
But that's not it. It's something
it's really
else.
not.
Anyway,
No.
what do you guys think?
I think it has
Anything
more
else?
to do with whether or not you can be owned by any of the alphabet soups.
Yes,
Well,
that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I just want to say kudos to you, Joe, and your team for building what you built and
Thanks.
being first.
It was not easy.
That's amazing. It's quite an accomplishment. Another reason why I think the SEC went after you, unfortunately.
Yep.
Yeah, probably.
Somebody wanted something. Okay. All right. See
They
here.
wanted to make
the
sure
next.
people building real things that actually did something other than be a meme coin.
Yeah. So by the way, that's why I
weren't
gave you the
happening.
blue ribbon in my image
Oh,
for their question. See,
look at that first place blue ribbon. I've not gotten a blue ribbon since kindergarten.
well, there you go, Joe.
Yeah. I ran. I had a like twisted ankle, and I still got a blue ribbon somehow.
Nice.
Some other stuff. My kindergarten history. Okay, let's see here. I am for I am. I'm gonna pre-vote. I'm blind vote. Original question. Layer 0.
Oh, I love that image. I thought it was funny. I
That is
put it up.
excellent.
I created labeled them
I love
Bitcoin
it.
and
I'm
Bitcoin.
gonna steal that one actually. That's
It's
excellent.
pretty funny.
That's a very good one. Okay, if layer 0 is the interoperability solution for blockchains to communicate with each other, why haven't they become big market disruptors? That's a good point. I think it's timing. I would have thought that if blockchains could easily talk to one another, write transactions to one another, that this would have been a huge price performer in the blockchain markets. Why aren't they in the top 10 in market caps at the time of writing of this post? Polkadot is 16, still not bad. Cosmos is 49, not bad for I'm not gonna say anything. Okay, who wants to go
I know
first?
this show's not supposed to be about price performance or anything like that, and that's not the point of the question.
Yeah.
I'm just using market cap as a way of
These guys entered the market
measure
post
as a
2018,
measuring
right?
tool. What's that?
Mhm.
These guys all entered the market post 2017.
Oh, yeah.
At least.
I guess it was
right?
2018, right?
Because for example, Polkadot was created because CryptoKitties crashed all the capacity throughput for Ethereum, right?
Mhm.
And the team that behind CryptoKitties was actually the team that decided to create Polkadot, so that they could scale their gaming solutions without crashing mainnets. So and Cosmos was always sort of doing what it was doing. It was looking for interbank operability or interbank transfer operability on chain, as I recall. And again, these came out post 2017 when we started running into issues with the idea of sort of a monolith chain running everything that the future of the internet would need. And it was either basically sit around and wait for Vitalik to figure out quadratic sharding, or build your own thing. and good thing they did that too, because public pressure caused him to shift the entire Ethereum focus to shifting to proof of stake before they even started talking about scaling, which now we know was basically just one big psyop meant to target all blockchains that were staying proof of work with essentially drive it to zero aggression at a nation state level. They were pumping that narrative that proof of work was deadly to the planet by comparing it to things like nation states instead of banking systems. But nonetheless, like these things came about post era of price suppression. I think that if we saw a free market in tokens still exist, they'd be worth a lot more.
Agreed.
To add your point, though, Greg, Polkadot had a huge marketing budget. They spent a lot of money out there getting well known.
Oh, yeah.
And playing,
marketing budget
paying off
does
the
not
right
drive up
people.
What
price
happened
of
to
your
Chain
token.
Link? Weren't they in the same set where the Chain
Yeah,
Link?
actually, I think they were. I didn't include them.
Believe it. I can't believe it.
They ended
You
up being more
is there
about
any?
oracles
Do you
in the
hold
long run,
any
though.
I
Cosmos
don't.
and Polkadot?
I don't.
I'm just
I don't.
joking with you.
No, I don't. No, I
Link
don't.
really
I
ended up
just
being more about oracles, though, right? Different set
I
altogether.
can't even remember. Maybe Chain Link was the one with the decentralized oracles.
Yeah,
They started by saying they were interchain after we had come up with that term. It kind of annoyed us, but we're like, well, whatever. But so did Cosmos did some similar things. Polkadot we talked to. Those guys I did like. They were good guys. I didn't like the protocol, but that's just my engine. It's not even a personal thing or anything saying that it's bad. I just me as a software architect, I did not like the Polkadot protocol just because there are many things that I knew from traditional world or architecture that would not work.
Well, and to this day, I think it's probably less popular because it's hard to integrate with, right?
That's exactly it. It was like, oh, we have this protocol that's a protocol. It's just like this thing that's like, wait a minute, I have to build this to connect that. It's like, why?
Right.
Why?
Like
Why would you
there's
do
literally
that?
like one of the sub networks supported by by their network that I can easily
and that's why
say that Rivet can support infrastructure for. It would be very hard to run infrastructure for Polkadot proper because there's so many different pieces. And we could do Moonbeam like trivially, but that's about it.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I didn't like it because when we went to them to integrate, and integration from our side was just API calls, right? But integration from their side was, oh, you have to know this and this and this, and I was like, you know what, I'm not really that interested in it. So, anyway, that's good. Okay. Anything else to add? Anything else before I move on?
I was shocked that they haven't been a bigger player in the marketplace.
Oh, can I say this? I think the reason for this, if you separate Dragon Chain, because I can't explain why the hell Dragon Chain is not more out there than it is, other than we've 7 years of attacks. It kind of kills your ability to really do the business you should be doing.
From a price standpoint, your token's performing well these days, honestly.
Is it? I have not looked.
Yeah.
Note this to the SEC. I've not even looked.
It's actually not moving. It's not moving down when all the rest are. It's pretty cool.
It's really not.
There's nowhere to go, right? I'm just joking. That's a joke. See,
it's got too much upward push to be driven down any further, I think.
I guess. No. So
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I think the reason that, and again, if you separate Dragon Chain out of it, all of the rest that attacked this market, which I do think is a well-founded use case. There's a vision there that these chains should be able to talk to each other. It's not all Bitcoin is it and everything else is stupid. That the missing piece was that complexity. You could go into the technical. I could give you tons of technical reasons that some of these haven't taken off. But that's never the full story, right? The technical is like, you could have a really crappy product that it could still take off, right?
Oh, right.
But they were solely focused on interoperation between chains.
Just look at Land Rovers, right?
They were not focused on interoperability with the world, with what's really out there. And therefore, you think, because you look at it, like how much exposure has blockchain gotten to normal people in the world, right? It's like, oh, they know this. It's a way to invest in something. I don't understand it. It's crazy stuff. There are hackers. There's this really ugly person, chosen person that ran this one exchange that stole all their money, right? That's what they know about crypto. It doesn't affect their daily life. And then you think about, okay, now we're going to take those super niche products. I'm going to take a Polygon. I'm going to take a Litecoin. I'm going to make them interoperate. And you think about how even a smaller portion of the population cares or even understands what the hell that would mean. And it hasn't meant anything, right?
Good point. Great point.
What we
Well, that's
need
also
is
like-
it plugged into real shit. You know, and even if it's, hey, this is not my favorite chain, but it's plugging this chain into this real world thing, I'm okay with it, right?
Right.
That's what's needed, and that's what we tried, but that's
Mhm.
maybe why they came after us. I
Probably
think they
so.
came after us also because I'm not a son of a banker or senator, or I have the wrong blood type or some type of shit. I don't know.
You
I'm
shouldn't
not
have
a
approached
vampire.
the key is you shouldn't have approached the SEC for a friendly conversation until
Why, we
after
didn't.
you'd made enough political contributions.
Oh well, 'cause
Well.
we never approached them. They sent the letter to everybody. Everybody got
Right.
the same
But,
letter.
like-
got out.
Like SBF had friendly meetings with Gary Gensler basically because he pre-donated
Mhm.
to a
Oh,
whole
I
bunch
know.
of
But we
political
never had that kind of
interests.
money.
Yeah.
We never sought that
Yeah.
kind of, we were building a software system thinking, okay, the FCC might come and talk to us and say, you guys need to follow these rules. I'm like, okay, we can do that. Never expected the freaking Securities and Exchange Commission to
Yeah.
come and say,
Well, I mean,
you
who would
are,
have seen them? Who would have seen them adopting an enforcement only based strategy to implement policy, right? Like that.
yeah.
That was unexpected because it was more heavy-handed than even the alphabet soups typically are, which
Yeah.
is saying a lot because they're pretty heavy-handed usually. But this was something new.
Yes, and it looks like, Lisa, it looks like your channel did stay connected on YouTube. It looks like it's still live. So yes, thank you for that. That is good. In fact, I can look up here and see. Yes, we still have viewers on your YouTube and on your X.
Yeah.
That is excellent.
Mhm.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. I think that's another reason why they came after you is because when everyone was talking about scaling, at one point that was the big conversation, was
Yeah.
scaling.
Yeah.
And then that press relief, someone came out and said, Dragon Chain is the ETH killer because everyone was talking about scaling.
Yeah.
Transaction
Yeah.
speeds aren't anywhere close to Visa, and that is where
Like
you
Visa
became a
network
target.
is running mostly useful traffic.
But
yeah, it's funny. I think it was maybe Cointelegraph. There were 2 or 3 articles. A couple of them were small, and there was one big one that claimed we were an ETH killer, and they had a picture of like JoJo and something with Ethereum, battling it out or some stupid thing. And it's like those always kind of cringy anyway, but they always kind of bothered me because it's like that's not at all what we're trying to do. We're trying, we want
more
to
like-
integrate.
Yeah, it's more like the JoJo dragon should be like a multi-armed deity reaching out
Yeah.
to shake hands with all the other characters
Yeah.
as opposed to fighting any given one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we had. In fact, I told all of marketing at the time, look, whenever any of this stuff happens, make sure no matter what's released, if I'm not before I approve anything, I want it to be all rainbows and unicorns, love, and I want it to be freaking almost cringingly hippie, where it's no, we love them all. We want to plug into them all. We want them all to be able to come in, plug in, use us. We're happy, and we're not going to fight these stupid tribal wars that the VCs want you
It's
to
not
fight.
about that. It's
Yeah.
about it's never been about that really. That's sort of like the key point differentiating Web3 and Web2 from one
Yes.
another. Is
Yes.
that Web3 takes a collaborative competition approach similar to the way open source projects take a collaborative competition approach.
Yep.
They're competing for resources in the sense they want developers interested in building on them, but the way to do that is not to declare all other sides enemy nations and then go to war.
Exactly.
The way to do that is to come up with ways to add value to the other ecosystems with what you're doing.
Yep.
I guess that's probably where Super Happy Dragon Lucky comes from, huh?
No, that was an old joke. I was going to make a gaming company back in the early 2010s, and I learned that LG TVs, like we had an LG TV in the office, and someone told me, you know what that stands for? I was like, no, I don't. He said, Lucky Gold Star, and it was like, that is such a funny name. It's like, why would they keep it Lucky? I would have kept it Lucky Gold Star. And so I immediately spouted off Super Happy Dragon Lucky. And Everybody laughed.
The,
was like,
and
"That's
your
what
market
we're
test
gonna
was
use."
done. Yes.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, I'll be honest with you. The other thought too is, you know, back in the day with the whole Mount Gox thing and watching that take place, and I go, well, the government's going to come after Bitcoin. And then later, as blockchain developed and Ethereum came out, and all of the tokens on Ethereum were started getting built, and we could see there was more pressure from the government when 2017 we're going to get the CME. Bitcoin's going to be on the CME, and we're going to, the CME chair says we're going to tame Bitcoin. Well, during that whole time frame, I didn't expect it was going to be the SEC that was going to come after everybody. This was pre-ICO days. I just felt that the government was going to come down from a different, maybe FinCEN, and say it's illegal to own and use Bitcoin in the US. That's where I thought they were going to go. I didn't foresee the SEC. I just knew that there was going to be an attack vector from the government. So anything that was
going to be subtle,
within the
though.
US was created within the US. That was kind of my line in the sand. I wasn't going to invest in any coin or token that I felt was US based.
I will say, that's funny.
Mhm.
I will say, being in the middle of it, but even if I hadn't started a project, if I would have been just involved, I think I'd be in similar situation, just not as jaded maybe. But the amount of change in my worldview is unimaginable. I wouldn't have been able to tell you 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was a freaking pro-Israeli, conservative, Trump supporter, and now, holy crap! I mean, it's like pro-war.
Well,
I mean, it's like, geez, I had no freaking clue what the world was. So I was an idiot back then.
That the thing that they did was novel too, right? Because I was always confident that that they were not going to learn the lessons of recent history, and that the technology was going to successfully emerge before they could do anything about it, because they were always typically slow. That's why, for instance, like Uber worked to disrupt all the cab companies. But I think they actually learned the lesson of Uber. You know, once they defenestrated Travis Kalanick by sending in a new board of directors led by Ariana Huffington, they had a plan to make sure technology stayed under their thumb, that they weren't going to wait to react. And it was at that point, I think, that we missed the idea that they were going to be on top of shutting this thing down before it got too big to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Czar, what was his comment there? Bitcoin isn't going to go anywhere because the rich want it. Yeah. I kind of agree with that, but maybe on a different reason. I think the rich are going to stick with Bitcoin because they're going to use other alternatives like, ETFs and this kind of thing that are going to be really off chain to be able to manipulate it even further, because they've already manipulated it. Now they've hijacked it, like Roger Vere's book, and so it's not going to go anywhere at this point because they have some control over it. Where we will know, in fact, where we know we will have won, is when we start seeing members of Congress start accepting and approving and suggesting that people need to start using privacy coins and tokens. When we start seeing an elected official
take donations
suggesting that this is where you need to invest, or this is where these things are a portion of freedom of speech,
it would still be legal.
That's when we know when we have won.
Yep. They just I mean, they could accept Monero. They would just have to report it, right?
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Which they would be perfectly free to do.
Yep.
They just wouldn't be able to be.
If I run for office
independently,
if I run for
quickly,
office,
quickly, somebody whisper into Thomas Massey's ear.
Yes.
Get it out there. So no, to bring up that point that William brought up, I honestly think that Bitcoin might be the central bank digital currency that they're talking about, because it has been hijacked.
Well, it'll be a layer. It'll be a layer too.
Yeah, a layer of it.
It'll be the BlackRock.
Certainly, if they intend to return to something that's pegged, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they release is likely to be Bitcoin pegged.
Jeez. Yeah.
I'm going to try to channel my Aaron Day.
Gary.
I wish he was here, but I think he's right in saying that USDCs are already here in that we already
Yep.
have a digital dollar, and they can already see what we're purchasing, and they can already start rejecting our purchases and saying, and it's just going to get worse. It's going to become more hyper focused on what we can or can't buy, or limitations of what we're buying. For example, of, well, you've had enough, you've purchased enough beef for this month.
I mean, how many posts have you
I'll
sent?
stop being able to
already
buy these
here.
guys from the UK because they
Yeah.
outlawed them here.
But it's
I guess
not
I
to
guess
the
I'm on
level
a
of
list.
complete control.
I guess I'm on a list because of all the Rothbard and the Mises books I've purchased.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
Your
unbanked
IP address
Melania
appears way
this
too
week.
many times on Mises.org.
I've told. I'm not going to tell you which book I ordered, but I told William about this on a call that I ordered a book, and I ordered like 3 books, and 2 of them were like ancient books that were out of print, but I found like a used copy or something, and then a third one, which is one of the many. How many banned books are there? And I got a call, and I thought, okay, it was some small bookstore, and they were asking about this one book, and I'm like, but they then told me, oh, it's printed on demand. I'm like, really? And because I thought it was a used book, and it's like, and so it was really the other book, the banned book that they were calling about, and they told me it was printed on demand, so I'd have to wait like 6 weeks. I'm like, sure, that's fine, I don't care. And it got there 2 days later, and it wasn't print on demand. They were just calling to see who it was that was ordering it.
Right.
How
It's
strange.
crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But
I'm certainly on a list for this guy too, right here, LiveGen. Like if you go there, you get yourself on a list.
I pulled stuff down. I pulled a book from that you can't find anywhere that Henry Ford wrote. I pulled down 2 or 3 books from there already. So thank you for every time I can't remember what the stupid URL is though.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to channel Aaron Day, and kudos to him again. I think he's right in that we need to adopt and use multiple blockchains and transact in multiple blockchains, simply because one, their scalability, and there are advantages to using some versus others. So don't become a maximalist for only one, and utilize multiple. It's kind of like if you got a tool belt, you want lots of tools because you never know which one you're going to need for which job, and so therefore have multiple. Have BCH, have Litecoin, have some Bitcoin, whatever you want, whatever tickles your fancy. It would be my suggestion.
And
not financial advice, but that's how we're going to combat it.
And download all of the old texts if you can. Put them on a thumb drive, put them in a Faraday cage.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically,
yes.
And when we get to current events, I heard. What's the name of it? Where all the old websites are. The library for all the websites. Yes. What is it called? The Wayback Machine. I heard that was down for a while.
It was attacked. Yes.
Noah's trying to scrub all its history because so many people are talking about the modified weather stuff, weather modification. So they're scrubbing their own website, and then they're trying to get rid of it off the Wayback Machine as well.
Yep. They've been racing for a while. So
I still don't understand why people are on that. I don't know. I don't get it. Like people need to go down the rabbit hole and realize they're manipulating the weather.
The weather has been manipulable for a long time, man.
Yeah. For at least 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah. The really interesting one that no one ever talks about is the UAE one, where they literally built a mountain to change the character of rainfall in the UAE on nearby.
They know they can do that.
Yep.
And they've known about the mountain thing. There was somebody who was going to build an artificial mountain somewhere in the US in order to get more rainfall into some dry area. They know it'll work. It's just is it worth paying for?
I mean, it's the same exact principle that caused the North Carolina situation to be so bad, because you drive those really dense with hydration air, you drive that up a mountain, you lower its ability to essentially carry water.
Yep.
And it causes it to dump out even faster.
We don't have to. Memory holes.
Yeah, Lebanon is very much in Scripture. It is very much part of the promised
You
land.
think? I don't believe it.
I
I don't
think
believe any of that.
Yeah.
Any of those things. Anything from Old Testament, I don't believe in. So.
Yeah,
I'm not really
It's a memory hole thing. This article was
Yeah.
posted, and
premillennial
because
dispensation.
it was against
too
the
Catholic for that.
narrative that the West wanted to be able to support, they pulled this
Yep.
from Jerusalem Post.
Yep.
I didn't know why it was like I was seeing everywhere on
Mhm.
Twitter, and then I saw some stuff behind it. Like, oh, they wrote some stuff. Yeah, we own that. We're chosen. We own it, and we're gonna kill all the people there and take the land and have beachfront property. Just go ask
For BlackRock.
the former president's son, right? What's his name?
Netanyahu's son.
Oh,
No, the former.
No, I do think
Trump's
there's some maybe like
son-in-law.
The
desire
son-in-law.
to-
The son-in-law,
Yeah,
Jared
he was involved
Kushner.
directly in it.
Kushner,
Jared Kushner
yeah.
directly involved in the land grab over there.
No, I do think there's maybe some like late
Interesting.
atavistic desire to win the Crusades still on the part of
Yeah.
some who are pro-war there.
Oh yeah.
Where they're like deeply interested in recreating the kingdom of heaven.
yeah.
Diddy?
and-
Anyone want
and-
to talk about Diddy?
It might not even be
Yeah,
apocalyptic or teleological. It might just be like out of a desire to say we won that, where our former masters, the Brits, basically failed.
Has anyone seen any of the pictures from that? I've seen one that's been circulating on 4chan for years related to this picture. Nasty.
No, I have not.
Mhm.
I'll just say I believe he's Epstein 2.0. I don't think he's going to be around much longer.
Yeah,
I still
they're gonna
think
take
now-
that his situation is more to do with civil asset forfeiture being
Yeah.
put at scale than anything else.
That's what
Good point.
I'm leaning towards. I think that his situation kind of coincides with the Intel superstate because Hollywood and the music industry has been involved, but it's more civil asset forfeiture. So they're
They've
they're
set
just
it up so
taking
they can
it
go
out.
You think
after
they
every
took down
single one
Diddy
of
so
his
they
enterprises.
can take his house and cars?
They can take everything, man.
They can
Yeah,
also,
they
it's
can-
also human trafficking. So it's crimes against humanity. So him and anyone associated with it, they also can take their name, image, and likeness.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I don't mind that. It's a good thing. I'm just thinking that's
That means
the
all of his
reason.
music too.
Anyway,
That really sucks for Justin Bieber at that point. Then
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
what
let
I
me-
think
It
that
really
we're
does,
seeing all
actually.
of this AI stuff play out because
Yeah.
they've already done all that. And they have
Mhm.
already got all their name,
And-
image, and likeness. And that's why we're seeing like this bad movie roll out.
Good
Yeah.
point. Here's that.
Really
There's,
sad.
they say the 5 levels of political awareness, and level 5 is the Mike Benz level where you can see everything. You start seeing the patterns, the wheels, and the gears, and how it's all put together. And level 1 is the extreme opposite, where it's just you get your source of information news from one source and you believe everything they say, or maybe 2 sources and you believe everything they say. But then they say a level 6 is the Epstein level because you know too much and you're dead. Well, guess who else is now at level 6? He knew too much. They got to take him out.
Well, I mean, picture, for instance, that last one with Zuck being all bearded out and frazzled looking. I feel like there's something to do with facial hair being adopted and like your hair growing out to still rebellion. Like there's some weird association there. Like you turn into sort of a hippie in that respect once you see and it used to be that was all like lefties being anti-establishment, and they all shaved their beards off and got professorial, and now you see it more on the new right.
And me personally, I wore a suit and tie almost every day. I wore a suit and tie every day, so I always was clean shaven. It wasn't until
Oh, I was too. I wore it all the time.
there's something to do with if you like it was everybody had beards in the last Civil War, and that's what there's a lot of theories around that, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Now,
picturing.
there's another item I'd like to bring up, and that is, has anyone seen the compilation of videos by, oh my gosh, I'm so horrible with names. The overstock.com gentleman. What's his name?
Oh yeah,
Patrick
What's his name?
Patrick.
Burn.
Anyway,
Burn.
Burn. Yeah. Have you seen his? He's got a new book about it and about bribing Hillary.
Oh, yeah, heard about it.
And there is on X, you can find a video which has been edited only for so that the information is more time. It's chronologically in order, and a good portion of it is when Roseanne Barr interviewed him. And about his new book and him working and with the FBI to bring down certain people, which was then overturned by Obama, is what his claims are. It's pretty detailed, factual information, and as he's talking, it reminded me of John McAfee, and where this guy Patrick Byrne, he must have a dead man switch now. So I really encourage you to look that up on X and watch his.
Okay.
Yeah.
Burn.
Needs
Burn.
to create
I
a
think
dead man
is-
switch protocol that's decentralized. That needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think about Trump appearing at the what is it? It's the group that had the tunnels in New York.
Yeah. A very famous
at the
rabbi.
Messiah's- yeah,
He probably went to
is
see
right.
where John was.
Well, yeah, something. But it's Shapiro's there. He had the little hat on. He had all the stuff. What does all
You know
that
what it reminded me of was the Bush funeral when they read the papers
Oh God.
and they all freaked out. You know how he opened up that piece of paper and he read it
Yeah.
and then he tore it up and left it there and then he went and put the rock on it. I don't know what the
I don't know.
ceremony represents or
I
whatever.
don't either.
But then the other thing I thought was strange, so that culture does not allow women in religious ceremonies. And he had Eric's wife there, Kim Guilford or whatever her name is, and Laura was there. Laura Trump was there. Why were they allowed?
You mean Laura Bush or Laura Trump?
Laura Trump. Laura Trump was in there, and Kim Guilford, or however you say her last name. They were both standing right behind that stone, that headstone that Trump put the rock on. And usually women are not allowed in religious ceremonies. So something was up with that didn't smell right to me.
Well, that's been shifting too. Like I think you can see that policy shifting naturally as they begin to expect U.S. presidents.
That
to do
culture is hardcore against women, and they do
so
not.
They would have to come up with a new display of loyalty for a female president that wasn't a religious ceremony, and they would. Is what you're presupposing. I think they might actually loosen it up in order to allow for a female president to show fealty.
So you think they allowed Trump's female family members in their 10-7 ceremony to show loyalty to Kamala? That doesn't make sense to me.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're going to have a religious ceremony that requires sort of people in power to bow before it.
Here's a question.
Right.
Who's the country music version of P. Diddy?
Oh God,
good question.
That is a good question.
I want you guys to see if you can find. Let's see here.
Great question.
One second.
Probably Blake and
see if we can find John in this next meme. This is the one that I saw, and I swear I see him, but it's hard because I can't freeze it. All right. So if you just watch, I think he's in here, but I'm like, it's somewhere in Brooklyn, right? Sorry. It's just,
oh no. Oh, that's funny.
I'm sorry. Anyway. Anyway. What else? What other current events do we have? What other great falls have we seen in the West in the past week?
Goodness. The FEMA story.
Yeah.
The FEMA story. That one mayor that said his daughter's home was destroyed, and she only qualified for $300 of the $750.
Oh,
She said they won't even pay for the food in the refrigerator.
isn't it a loan too?
It's
Don't
a
they have to
loan,
pay it
yeah.
back?
They have 1 year to pay it back, and if they don't,
Dear
their land
God.
is taken. It's yeah,
Oh
How
my
this is a
true is
big
that?
land grab.
How true is that?
I've seen counters for that on X notes things, but I don't
That's
trust it.
yeah. I don't trust anything. Period. But
Yeah,
if that is true, that would basically prove that this is
It
the
sounds like
largest
something they
land
would do,
grab
though.
ever. It does
It sounds
sound
like
like
something they would do.
yeah.
yeah.
There
And
is
what's
gonna be an element of eminent domain in certain sections that people just can't go back.
right?
I mean,
That
I
church,
guarantee you.
what's it called? Church Rock or something? Supposedly there was a lithium find
Yeah.
there. They
Mhm.
found lithium in
Yeah.
that area, and now this big storm. It's just
It
Well,
just
and
it's
meanwhile,
coincidental.
no one's
You'll never
talking
let a
about the
good
fact
disaster
that
go to waste,
like
right?
all of Wyoming is burning, which is also full of
Ooh.
like precious minerals and
Yep.
all
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. That's well, it just goes. You can't trust the government. Don't rely on the government to help you with your disaster relief. Maybe at the state level, but certainly
Oh
not.
yeah, that was the other thing. They
Right.
lied about
Man.
using their money that is now gone. They don't have enough money to pay for North Carolinians. They lied
Mhm.
about having used it to transport and help immigrants move across
Mhm.
wherever, and they wanted to put them in a country for their votes.
Right.
Um,
This was sort of the backdoor way that they paid their airfare, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's
And
basically been confirmed with
And I
shouldn't
have a
they
picture.
What's
shouldn't
her
they
face?
be held accountable for the 300,000 missing children if they were the ones transporting them?
Damn
Yes.
straight.
Yes,
They ought to be.
they should.
If we can prove it.
Another little tidbit about
Mm-hmm.
this and FEMA and the states and all that is, I guess DeSantis pretty much did a big FU to Kamala Harris. I don't know. It was probably a publicity stunt, but still, he pretty much said, we're not going to take your help or whatever.
Well,
He wouldn't
no,
even
I
take
think
her
it was a
phone
phone
calls.
call.
It
Yeah.
was a phone call, yeah.
Yeah, he said. I think he was rightfully so.
He
She's the
is
vice
right.
president. She's running for president. So it's more of a political stunt on her part. What is she going to
Yeah,
provide for the state of
nothing.
Florida? I'm busy
Yeah.
taking calls and dealing with the issues
Mhm.
on the ground. So
Right.
it would have
I'm
been
gonna ask you
different
guys
if
about this.
Biden had called. But even if Biden had called, he's so dementia riddled that
one
what
is
that's
true.
like having a conversation with a marshmallow.
Oh, I know.
This one-
It's calling up. He's like,
Drew-
"Is Bert there? How about Ernie?" Like
I'm
these guys
not
just
gonna
nuts.
lie, through this whole situation, like DeSantis is basically he's still a neocon pro-Israel shill, but he showed that he's a boss.
I don't know.
He
I
has-
still he goes and he signs
Yeah.
a bill in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, I don't know where, to limit your free speech
Yeah.
in Florida. Isn't that great?
yeah,
Fuck him forever. I don't give a shit what he
Oh
does.
yeah,
He
yeah.
does the
But then
coolest goddamn
then he
thing in the world.
does yeah.
He is a cuck. He is a
Oh,
fucking Luther traitor. Okay.
He's still a
Yeah.
neocon.
And I'm gonna
He'll
tell you
He's
always
a
be a
neocon. He's a neocon.
And you can replace one word in here. I apologize if this is offensive to anyone, but this is kind of the stuff that scares the crap out of me about our country. That so many Belgian dual citizenship holders in our government that are controlling the wars and the immigration, and it's freaking, I don't know, it's dangerous. So anyway, and
Well,
I
I don't
Bought
think they
and
even have to
sold
be
by
in
the
control of it.
Rothschilds.
I don't think you even have to be in control of it for it to be a situation where one of our client states, one of our Muppet states, is making trouble for us at a level where it's almost controlling us.
well, I mean, look at this. This is Mayorkas shopping at a luxury clothing store, right? And this is in the middle. This isn't today. This was when the North Carolina stuff was happening. And this is him. And they had, I don't know if I have the picture of him. The guard behind him is like making this face like, oh shit, because there's only one guard. He's Mayorkas is the president. He's so it's just a crazy thing. And this, what kind of optics is that? Aren't these guys supposed to be Democrats? Aren't they supposed to be of the people? Aren't they supposed to be blue collar people? It's like, why is
This
this
is why they want to
gay
censor the
Jewish
internet, though, right?
guy walking through, buying? Look at that bag. It's like, come on. It's like
This is literally why they want to censor the internet, because these
Yeah.
types of things
And he's,
getting out
it's almost as if we were in
are the
an
problem.
oligarchy. I wonder how that happened. Right?
Oh,
This
I
socks
wonder.
start at $40. The cheapest belt they have is $800. Suits in the tens of thousands. This is where he decided to spend his time today, as the man directly in charge of FEMA, when people are without power, starving, and you're going to give them $750 because we don't have any other money. Why? Oh, we just don't have it. We don't have the budget. It's not like we have unlimited money that we could print anytime we want. Fuck these people. It's just
It would
ridiculous.
be substantially different too if
Yeah.
the Hamptons or Martha's Vineyard were underwater.
Yeah,
yeah.
it would, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, all the stops would be pulled out then. So anyway, apologies for that. That just gets me freaking fed up. I mean, it's so ridiculous. So anyway, here's the other Lebanon. So they're gonna bomb Lebanon into nothing like they did Gaza. Kill as many women and children as they can, so that the promised land can come to the chosen people, right? Anyway, it's freaking disgusting. Oh, here's another North Carolina thing. A helicopter.
Oh yeah.
This is crazy.
That's unreal.
It's bizarre.
Yeah,
And
that
didn't
thing-
they did the maneuver? Yeah. I mean that's purposeful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
My
is it-
understanding too is the guy that's in charge of the Cajun Navy. He was there, and there were people in the field that were having their arms crossed, saying, "No, don't land. This is not a safe place to land." Takes two people to fly a Black Hawk. It was unmarked, so it's probably military, and maybe they're just trying to hot dog it or whatever, or doing it on purpose. Who knows what they're doing? Flyboys.
It's either military or it's somebody that's in bed with the government that's got money
Right.
because you can purchase the Blackhawks just without
right,
all
anybody
the
can
little
technically
tech
own
stuff.
How much that
Yeah.
cost?
Yeah,
But
But can you
millions.
fly them with no tail numbers?
it's like the Pepsi Harrier
that.
jet
Yeah.
from the '90s. Technically,
Yeah.
you can own one of those.
Because it has no
It's-
markings on it.
Good point, Lisa. See, it
I
was,
don't
That's-
think you can
unmarked.
fly it
That
with
is-
no tail numbers or anything.
Yeah, that's where I think it's a Fed, definitely. But
That makes me think
'cause
CIA.
there was no mark.
honestly.
CIA,
Yep.
NSA, anybody, FBI, ATF.
This is a
Hell,
great-
it could be FDA for all we know. 'Cause I mean, yeah.
Oh
They'll
my
get your
gosh.
immigrants
Look
to
at
your room.
Oh my gosh, that's so good. That's classic.
That's
Oh.
that.
No, see, that was a marked.
We're here.
That's a marked helicopter.
Oh man, this is
I
brilliant.
love how it properly depicts the inhumanity being done on all sides there. Too,
Yes.
because
Mhm.
they're not helping any of the migrants by dumping them into this either.
No, but you hear too.
Look at the father. The father's like, "Yes, save me, save me! They're coming to save us!" And now his arms are down, and he's,
Yeah.
Horrible.
Good point.
Our
They're not really
government loves
helping-
us, guys. Our government loves us. That's all you have to remember.
They're
It's
not
just
really
like-
helping the immigrants either. In Cliff
No.
High's data, it says that this coming winter, all these, South American illegal immigrants that they've dumped up north do not know how to cope with the weather and all this. And they're going to freak out and the money's going to run out. FEMA's already said they're out. The money's going to run out and they're going to freak out, get cold, turn on the people around them. I mean,
Yeah.
this is not going to end well.
Yeah.
It's designed.
See,
It's
this
designed
is-
to create chaos. They're up
Exactly.
with something.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's also it's kind of one of those things, people talk about the national divorce and it's coming and it's inevitable. Well, the national divorce from what? Okay, so we want to divorce ourselves from DC. All right, well, that's one step. What about all these bankers and all of the other bullshit that's in control? That there could be your neighbor next door. You don't know. So divorce from what? At what level are we going to divorce ourselves from this tyranny and these government bureaucrats that are everywhere?
Right, and the larger governmentality of all the institutions that are interlocked with it.
The only way that we can divorce is just educate as much people on the blockchain as possible.
Yep. Well, and privacy
have to-
tools.
Yeah,
and,
private. Yep.
Yeah.
Make America
People-
great again. That's another
People
one.
need to be
Also,
VPNing
America first.
and using Tor, and we need to have everybody at least a basic level of internet literate, because the future of warfare, World War III, is an information war.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
And they draw no distinction between combatant and civilian
Oh.
in this war.
Den.Social Dayrox asks, have you already discussed the HBO Satoshi? Do you think if Satoshi were still alive one day he'd reveal himself? What impact would this have on the entire industry?
Great question, Derox. I have
I still
not
think it's
watched it.
Hal
Hal Finney. Yeah, I think that's probably my vote too.
Oh, I've heard that it was like what I'm not going to watch it. Why would the hell would I watch that
I'm
shit?
not watching it either.
That it was they were trying to get people to think that was it Maxwell? Somebody, that one of the guys from
It
the
was
Bitcoin
Peter something
core
or
team
other, right?
Peter, is it Maxwell? I can't remember.
No, hang on,
Peter.
let me see. I'm gonna pull up the world's greatest news source X.
But
Adam
and,
Beck.
And he denied it as well, and so it was almost like it was a play just to push that. But who knows? I don't know.
Who is
How
the Russian guy who's locked up, and he was trying to figure out ways to create a coin to money launder or something like that? He was a hacker / drug dealer, kingpin, whatever. I can't remember his name, but he was also on the list. I did understand that whatever name that they came up with was
Peter
going to
Todd.
be a stretch.
Peter Todd, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
You can
Yeah.
read. He has some mention in the hijacking a Bitcoin book as well.
Well, he's self-claimed too
yeah.
before to be the guy, and that's just
that's what
it's just
they're
another publicity stunt.
Yes.
They might as well have just gotten Craig Wright back on there and and try to pretend like he wasn't telling a fucking lie.
Yep. And you're not voting your way out of this. This is the very simple truth. I wish it wasn't.
Boy, isn't that true?
Vote harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Vote multiple times with your dead relatives.
Exactly.
Right.
Go,
don't ask
to,
for
go to
ID
California.
anyway.
Go to California and repeatedly vote, because
See,
they
it's a
can't
total
play
idiot
you
here.
there.
What's that?
This is a good one. The earliest known image of Donald Trump, Willie Brown, and Kamala Harris on the same shot.
Wow. Well, I wonder where Kamala is.
Sorry, that was probably I apologize. But I do think something is freaking off with the fact that it makes no damn sense that she's even there in the running. It's crazy to me.
Well, I mean,
Hey
you guys
man,
saw
I just can't.
Have you guys seen
I
the
just
original
can't-
footage from her interview? The 60
Oh,
guy?
the 60 Minutes thing?
Yeah.
Oh god, it was
I
bad.
didn't
I
watch
just
it.
can't believe my mom is going to be voting for her.
Oh,
Who?
No.
I'm sorry.
Who?
Yeah, my mom. Yeah, she's dead, by the way. So there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my
So-
gosh, that's a
Sorry
rough.
for your
Had to-
loss.
had to
It shouldn't
drop
happen
that.
a second time.
Yeah. Sorry, mom. Had to
Man.
make that joke.
Now, how do you pronounce that, guys? How do you pronounce that? Metsitsa.
Metsitsa. Something.
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I'm not
Anyway.
entirely sure.
Bipe? Anyway, whatever. Don't Google it. This one I like. A lot of the memes are self-regulating, adding scripted or rigged in. That this is pretty good stuff for the meme world is spot on there. And I'm rolling through these, right? I'm not
For what it's
selecting them.
Yeah, for what it's worth, I think I called it 2-3 months ago. I had mentioned it on this channel briefly in one of our shows. I said it's quite possible that Trump has cut a deal with the deep state, and he's already been selected to win.
Can you tell us who is?
I
who
think
is
he
the deep state?
survived
Maybe.
his assassination attempt, and that was that. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think Elon kind of nailed it.
Oh,
with-
listen to this. I'm gonna remove the meme for this one. What's wrong with Greg? He's far too quiet. Oh, it says quiet, actually, not quiet. It did say quiet. He's far too quiet.
What?
You are quiet. What? Sorry, whatever.
I'm very distractible. Memes just totally hypnotize me. Yeah, that's probably
see?
why.
There you go. They have
You want to
power.
pacify me, you just need to show a reel of memes I've never seen before.
Man. Yep.
Oh.
JFK
So
assassination.
do you think that the whole Trump thing with the crypto, that I'm going to go back to that
Oh yeah.
question.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's just a distraction, or is he really
He's a
gonna?
man of the world, so it's just like, oh, cool people. Rappers are in fact,
Yeah.
that's probably it. Rappers are talking about Bitcoin. Rappers probably told him, hey, you're gonna have to pardon me, but make sure you announce some Bitcoin stuff before you get in there, so you'll be cool when you pardon me.
Yeah.
I think he's genuinely taking the opposing point of the current regime. I think that's really what it is. I think this is a way to differentiate oneself message wise in a way he knows the other side will not follow. It may be politically calculated, but it's not disingenuous. It's not meant to be a ruse that he doesn't intend to follow through on. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a ruse that he doesn't intend to follow through on either.
It's disingenuous as it can ever be. You gotta be kidding me. He was talking about solving our debt crisis by giving all Americans some amount of Bitcoin.
Right.
Well, I mean, what?
He was saying to pay off the debt with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
If NSA has been mining Bitcoin for God knows how long, plus what all they've
I think they have the whole
stolen, taken from
I think
people.
they can steal Satoshi's Bitcoin anytime they please, but then it'll be worthless. So what will it matter? Media shots.
Hey, if he can do that, I'll support him. I don't believe him, but
he certainly can't be any worse than what we have.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, he could. He could say we need to go to war with Iran. Absolutely, we need to strike their nuclear plants.
I'm talking.
They are
strictly on the.
They are trying to assassinate him.
Iran is trying to assassinate him.
On the crypto issue, though, right? Like, he's obviously an improvement over what the status quo is, even on a bet, right? Like, if you had to gamble, and just say like which one of these two candidates is likely to to not continue to destroy crypto, you can't go with Kamala, right? You can't, because she's literally being advised by her economic advisor is the same guy who worked for Warren that was chairing the economic council for the executive branch that was essentially orchestrating Choke Point 2.0, right? If you want to have more Choke Point 1.0
start, that was under Trump, dude.
No,
all that shit. My bank accounts were closed when Trump was in fucking office. He had that fucker who's going to buy TikTok now to get rid of the anti-Israeli stuff, as his Treasury Secretary, Munchin, right, or Munchin, whatever you say that freaking name. And he had Clayton in there, who was the fucking guy at the SEC when they came after us.
Clayton was chosen by Obama.
2.0 was underway, right? Like, they were preparing for it.
He was retained.
Clayton
was Obama.
Transcended.
He was retained under Trump. He was under
Biden.
Trump.
But Obama was the one who created the concept, right? He went after payday lenders and gun manufacturers with it.
They're all evil. I'm just saying,
Trump
is no better than them. He is not going to stop that shit, because he said at the beginning, oh, he hates Bitcoin. He likes the U.S. dollar. It's the U.S. dollars, back.
And yet, he has now personal interests tied into it with his kids. So this may be to our advantage.
Yeah. And
I just think
they're NFTs or what?
Well, I mean,
Greg, if he had billions,
and give up, right?
Yeah, time out. If he had,
he's got to be better.
If he had billions tied up into Bitcoin or crypto, that would say something. But it's such a minuscule amount, even with his kids involved in crypto. I don't think they're heavily invested in that market.
I certainly think we'll see at least an improvement marginally.
That is entirely possible, but I don't know if we want improvement marginally. I either want something for real improvement, or I want it to fucking collapse sooner. Because I don't want to be. I don't want to be in my 80s when it collapses.
Guys,
right?
I just want delay. I want more engineering time. If we can decentralize the whole stack.
I don't want delay. I'm over this delay.
Yeah,
enough.
If you want collapse, then Kamala Harris is for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I don't think she win.
Exactly.
But I don't even think we're going to get to the vote.
By the way, I think Trump is as owned by Israel as Kamala is, and as the rest of the Congress is. it's going to collapse under Trump too. So I'm not really that concerned either way, because Trump is going to they're going to come in. Assad's going to kill Trump, and then JD Vance is going to go. It's like, you know what Trump said, we need to go freaking nuke Iran. And guess what? That's the end of it, right? The whole thing's going to come falling around.
I'm more hopeful than that. I know I'm not as black-pilled as you guys.
He did not say that. Yeah, I think we can't even walk into 2024. How can you vote in 2024 when you know your vote was stolen in 2020?
Yep.
So we can't even go there. And we know, and we also have not had a president. We know we've had this defunct, dementia-ridden, sleeping at the beach meat suit for 3 years. We don't need a president, apparently. So maybe we do just tear it all down. And why walk into the next vote?
Yep.
I would argue that we really haven't had a president in 100 years, honestly.
You may be
really
right.
want to think. Yeah.
Well,
And then
I
we
mean,
definitely, we definitely haven't had a president since '63.
Certainly, FDR was the beginning of an era where the administrative state was more in power than the executive, and really, you could probably call that as early as World War I era. I think Wilson really fucked us.
Wilson was evil,
and he may have been a president in that sense, but he was an evil president who made sure that there were none after him.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on that. I think Wilson was the catalyst for Wilson in setting up the administrative state goes to TR. So if you don't have TR basically utilizing his tyrannical policies to expand the state, then you don't have Wilson come in and actually consolidate it. And then you end up having FDR in the 30s that really puts it in overdrive.
I will give you that. That's actually a more nuanced historical perspective.
So what do you think of this? Trump thinks the Israelis should be immune from International Criminal Court. He wants to make Israel great again. He wants to make sure that Israel has more influence in the U.S. than they have, because they don't have as much as they
empire always
need
grants
to have.
itself immunity, man.
Yeah, and you're saying that he's owned by them. That's what I'm saying. So I don't want anybody owning him.
I'm saying that the empire is a giant glom. I don't differentiate between any of our Muppet states and the empire. I think they're one and the same.
Unless he ends up turning this around and exposing them in some way, like as this an exposure, like this very much concerns me.
Wrong, and Q was all right, and all that stuff turns out to be
right.
He really is the savior, and he's going to come in. And
if not, then he's the freaking Antichrist.
Or
I'm not kidding. Like it's very concerning.
Yeah,
but
the problem I have with the Antichrist is the Antichrist theoretically would have to be a Jew. So maybe it's Jared Kushner.
Wait a minute. Wait.
Who's his mother? Who's his mother?
And a lot of people.
Let me say that Revelations was almost certainly talking about Nero, and that a lot of this is mythology.
Well, that's why none of that stuff matters. But they have a different set that wasn't the Christian one too. That they think they're whatever. I don't understand any of it. So,
hold up.
So wait, it's a way to expose it all.
But yeah,
Trump's mother Jewish? I never knew.
His first wife was, so all of his oldest kids are.
Okay.
And a lot of people think that he's converted. I mean, you can see some of the stuff. I mean,
we don't know.
I mean,
2015, he talks about he's not going to take any of the AIPAC or the Zionist money.
Right. And when did he supposedly give
okay.
But there's a point in time there where supposedly he gave his life to Christ and he became Christian and turned away from all that. And that was before he became president.
That was after the Pennsylvania incident.
And if you look, they have interviews where he won't. If you want to, like on the religious side of things, he's very interesting. That they said, "Would you, do you ever ask for forgiveness?" And he would not answer the question. It was very interesting
maybe because that's between him and God.
Well, that's not what he said.
But here goes the point. I mean, you get to that level, you got to be so narcissistic.
Yeah.
That a narcissist is not going to answer that question.
Yeah.
With like, oh yes, I
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
Must
Well, I
confess,
mean,
and I
people
must have-
people acknowledging some kind of conversion event for themselves and also being in politics does not coincide with anything you can verify, right? Because you can't get elected in this country to any office if you don't do some degree of that.
Pepsi.
Oh, now
Pepsi's
this is
very on Pepsi things.
yeah. What was that? What was the Pepsi point? What was, what,
Otis Rabbi.
The first.
there's the next one. Is how about Elon Musk at the Pennsylvania rally, and Elon Musk saying in his interview with Tucker Carlson about, yeah, I'm fucked if Kamala wins because I'll go to jail.
Mhm.
And I thought all of those things were very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the doom of fucking humanity right there. If Elon Musk is not free to get us to Mars, then our species will go extinct.
I was watching somebody that said that that the way that interview was set up was something like out of the Matrix. It was the same like scene as Neo and somebody talking where it's
Oh,
like the
Morpheus and
white,
Neo.
The white
yeah.
background. Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
with the two guys in the little
The
egg chairs.
loading construct, or the construct, the loading program, right?
Yes,
Great
yes,
scene.
that's where it was from. Yeah,
The
very
desert
white.
of the real.
I thought it was very unique. Oh, this is that letter right from Donald Rumsfeld.
Rumsfeld,
Yeah,
right before they killed
Oh,
JFK.
Rummy. How
right
I
before
miss
JFK.
him.
Yeah.
I love it. Still love to say
Very
that you don't go to
telling.
war with the army you wish you had. You do with the one that you have. That's my
Mhm.
favorite piece of modern philosophy from the neocons that transcends space and time.
Who is
My
that behind Joe Biden?
Blinken.
Somebody
Oh,
get on the
Shadows.
rabbit.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Shadows.
Now I see it. Now I see it.
I thought it was Nosferatu for a second.
What's
Yeah,
the
But
difference?
that would be Dick Cheney.
there's
So
there's the wider shot.
Okay.
Who's in the mix? Oh, this is a great one. I mean, it's not
Let them have 750.
I love it.
So apropos, right?
Yeah, it's really good.
Nails it.
Yep.
Nails it. Yeah,
let's
as
see.
a loan.
As a loan.
Let them
This
borrow
one
a
caused me,
750.
I
Let them
had to
borrow
fly-
750.
I had to fly to Seattle to arrive at a deposition for the SEC, right? My deposition. So
Mhm.
right before we go into the I don't know, the stupid federal court phases. I don't understand, right? I'm not a lawyer, luckily. And this tweet made me. It's like I've always wanted to watch They Live, but I've never watched it before, right? So I watched it
I
on the
haven't either.
but this is interesting, right? So few people understand the scope of the subversion. It's really Matrix level, and the uninitiated would be incredulous, even if you told them movies like They Live or The Matrix still do provide the most accessible mental model of the state of America. And I think this is true
why
because
Yarbin was so dead on with the red pill meme, right? Like this is why the red pill meme carried.
yeah, because I do think, I mean, there's so much that and knowing, because I didn't realize any of this, and then when you start looking at it and you're okay, you have even limited, because I don't even have full access to even 4chan or some of the other platforms that used to be there that you could go and ask somebody, what does this mean, right? This is more like you just have to follow a feed and slowly let your mind understand some stuff, and some of it's total fake, it's total disinformation, flat earth theory stuff to kind of throw curveballs. But so much of it is like obvious once you really see all of the points, and you're like, man,
right.
Anyway,
you got to dive down the rabbit hole with the wingsuit because there are branches, but
yes,
but nonetheless,
yep. I love all the goose memes, by the way. I don't know where they came from. I hadn't seen them. I don't know if that's a new thing. I just they've been popping up a lot lately.
Those are old school, man.
Yeah, I
yes.
Early memes.
Yeah, but they have they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. It's all that part of it.
It certainly has. It resonates in all those bastard geese that got what was coming to them.
There was one good story that came out this week. They did pass. They came out with the whole fluoride thing. They
Oh,
exposed.
God.
Oh
That's
yes, I
crazy.
showed that one
Yeah.
earlier. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed it when my
No,
Wi-Fi
yeah,
was
that's
glitching out.
what do you know about it? Because I did
All
my
the
first
conspiracy
exposure to that,
theories
and
are
I asked
coming
my dad,
true,
"What is this?"
man.
Was Dr. Strangelove, right?
Mhm.
The guy who was supposed to be the Army general, or sorry, the Air Force general that was, and that's a great movie. But he was talking about the fluoride in the water supplies. I'm like, what? What does that mean? My dad is, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, something, something. Okay, but
Mhm.
it's all true, correct?
All
Right.
true.
Oh,
It's
Mhm.
all
this
true.
is
Yeah.
this
Very
is
true.
the
Get
this is the
reverse
beauty of
osmosis.
conspiracy, right? As a
No, they
smear.
have no. So they have the studies that it affected the IQ of children,
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
and so all of us. So it's the dumbing
Well,
down of
Not me. I
America.
didn't drink a lot of water
Yep.
as a kid.
I'll tell you a kind of a
My parents
story
let me
about
have
that.
Diet Coke.
I
When
drank
I-
Surge.
When I was a little kid, I don't think I was even 10 years old. My mom had a very good friend, and she was a business owner in this little small town in Arizona, and that's where we lived. And the city was starting to talk about putting fluoride in the water, and this lady was very active politically on the local level, and so she did the research on it. This was in the 70s, early 70s,
Mhm.
and she was fighting tooth and nail against fluoride being put into the city water system.
Mhm.
And so that's when my first exposure to fluoride literally was
Mhm.
her fight against fluoride. And
Wow.
I remember my mom having all these pamphlets on our dining room table. She says, "Yeah, I'm supposed to pass these out to our
Yeah.
neighbors."
You've been on the list
Well-
since you were a child.
The conspiracy theory smear was really affected around that issue, right? That was the first time you really
Yeah.
ever saw it translated out of the JFK
Mhm.
assassination context, where the CIA, I don't know if people know this, but the CIA released a memo talking about how they were going to respond.
Mhm.
This was
Mhm.
declassified many years later, like in the early 2000s, mid 2000s.
Mhm.
You saw this memo get released, and it showed that the conspiracy theory smear was always a smear. It was designed to, without getting into the substance, and hence not having to lie, characterize people who were pro certain
So-
arguments as crackpots,
Yeah.
essentially.
Let me ask then: was the purpose
Mhm.
to lower the IQs, or was it to get the pineal, whatever it is, gland?
Both.
Calcified.
I
Both.
think it was
Both.
I think it was a
Without
sunk
question,
cost
both.
fallacy situation
Yeah.
myself. I think they really genuinely started with the idea that it was going to make people's teeth healthier, and when they found out
Maybe.
it didn't, they just doubled down and took advantage of the effects it actually caused. It was
Yeah.
more the undying principle of never let a good disaster go to
Here's
waste.
another
Exactly.
similar
Yet
one.
again.
Yeah.
Another similar one. I can't remember which one. One of the Rothschilds. So now we're marked. Now, this I mentioned Rothschild. One of the Rothschilds, who was
Fuck
a
'em.
member of Parliament, only made 2 speeches, and one of them was to start Israel. To have them go
Mhm.
kill a bunch of Palestinians and claim the state that God told them was theirs, and the second was to ban raw milk. So why do they not want raw milk? And even in the U.S. states, there are plenty of states where they'll go in and they will make the farmers destroy raw milk in containers.
I think it has to do with authoritarianism being an end in and of itself. Sometimes you just want to put the boot down on people's necks to remind them it's there, and that's raw milk. The other bit, I think
There has to be
I think
something more than that.
everybody knows, I think, on some level, that if you could unmask the board of directors of the Federal Reserve, that you would find a lot of Rothschild blood.
Yeah, well, they own it all.
And
I
I don't think they
board.
like it when people accidentally stumble across members of the Federal Reserve's board of directors and start talking about them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we can probably also say that Soros might be one.
For those watching and listening to this show, I want to say this: all of those who have died or suffered from this hurricane and hurricanes, and the lack of support from the federal government or organization, FEMA, everything. If that doesn't turn your head and say, wait a minute, why should I trust this government? I don't know what else will. And so the people that are suffering or who have died, I hope that they don't suffer in vain or die in vain, that people wake up and say, no, I'm not going to rely on FEMA anymore. I'm going to self-prepare my family for another time or disaster that arises.
Right. 3 to 4 months of food and water is what you need first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So don't rely on FEMA. And it just shows that we cannot trust the federal government. And you're a fool to do so.
And if you really want to be a humanitarian, gather more. Make sure that you have enough for your neighbors too.
Here's the other thing. Something that came up, in fact, because I was driving my son somewhere yesterday and to an appointment. And I look over there, we're like at a stoplight and we're about to start moving. I look over there and there's a man standing there. There's a woman that's like sitting on the side, and it's in front of a gas station, but it's off the road, right? And then there's a cop who's a pretty big cop, and he like grabs this woman and throws her, and then he jumps on her, and we're like, what? Yeah, and so he like called. My son called to ask. It's like, hey, I think he wanted to report that we witnessed this because it was kind of crazy, and we don't know what happened. Maybe he had a knife, who knows, right? But just seeing that, it was not like didn't look like a threatening person. They were down. So and then I think and I tell them this because I haven't really ever looked into it, so I don't know if the locals here are. But I know in several states and in several other nations that their cops, like when you see what the Germans do to certain protesters, not others, but certain. And if you see what some of the bigger states in the U.S. do this, they send their cops to Israel to train with the IDF. No joke.
Wow, I did not know that.
Why are they doing this? It's crazy. And then you realize how far it goes because I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of I can understand. Okay, maybe we send them to
SWAT camp. You would think they would SWAT camp, or something. But
it's like, hey, let's treat them like we are the Palestinians.
Yeah, that's the Riotsville thing, right? You guys remember the Riotsville setup that they created in the 50s and 60s era for cross-training police to handle domestic disturbance, essentially. This has been part of a national effort since the Cultural Revolution. An effort to make sure that any oppositions are token oppositions.
Yeah. Well, and it's all it becomes. You don't have a police force anymore. You have a freaking military force with troop carriers and freaking crazy shit. It's nuts. Anyway, and do you see this tweet from Matt Gaetz?
No.
It's not really from Matt Gaetz. It's
no,
anyway,
but it is pretty funny. Was it? Is that a dentist tweet? Looks like a dentist tweet.
I don't know. This guy. This is what is it? Cat. What's the
cat
Twitter?
turd?
Cat turd.
He blocked me back in the day.
Really?
Yeah. I am blocked by Cat Turd.
Oh my god!
Art wherever he wants. I won't see it. It's all good.
Dude, I'm sorry. Elon Musk does fucking care about free speech.
Do you think he does or does not?
I think he does.
I don't think he does. I think he
kidding?
pretends he does. Yeah. There's something there. He has some other game, but there's I don't. He wants to be able to control.
Dude, there's the obvious other part of the game is he loves Twitter and wants to make sure that he can continue to use it as he likes.
I think he cares about his free speech, but I mean, and there's some good things that have come about.
Mossad agents, I know that he's retweeting and commenting to God's side.
Would we be talking about any of this on any of the mainstream platforms at all had he not done what he did? Is my question.
Isn't
valid
his
point?
CEO,
valid point, Greg. However,
his CEO or whatever,
that's where I was going.
Wasn't she a WEF?
Yes,
she was, but she's a convert. You should see some of the shit she's saying.
I've seen some stuff. I don't think.
But then again, free speech with limited reach is still the protocol. It's still the algo.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And that's
And-
and that's unfortunate because free reach needs to be included in our interpretation of the First Amendment. But
Yeah.
well, I mean, to a certain extent, right? You also have to have, right, the ability to have forums that are specific to a topic, right? You can't come into World Blockchain Roundtable and want us to start talking about the beauty of CBDC and insist that that is your free speech right to be heard equally to anybody who wants to talk about actual crypto, right? Like,
Well,
so
true.
you still
What are
have to have some
what are you
ability
talking
to,
about,
to
man?
control fora. And that's
Jack
why
is
you can't
back.
have like a completely naked view of free speech where it's just absolute. Otherwise, everything devolves into one conversation, and there's no way to have like a specialized forum on knitting cat sweaters or whatever, right?
Well, let me preface this. When Trump appointed, Bill Burr and William Burr or whatever as Attorney General, and Bolton, and didn't fire Comey, those actions spoke loudly. When he didn't, pardon Assange or
Yeah.
Edward Snowden, those actions were loud and clear where he stood, in my opinion. Then secondly, so then when I look at Elon Musk and I see who he appointed as CEO of Twitter,
Mhm.
and how the Twitter files were released, I had my doubts. While
Yeah.
some actions sure prove that there's I'm grateful for X, and Twitter seems to be a platform for allowing more free speech. I'm very grateful for his expenditure of $54 billion.
And
to-
he has the Epstein
However-
files as well, because
Right.
in his interview, he was saying like, if Trump gets in, then all these elites are supporting Kamala because they know that when Trump gets in, that all that's going to be exposed. Well, that's because he has it all too.
Right.
Well, then why hasn't he exposed it?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
where I was
Yeah,
getting ready to
exactly.
go.
Well, I
And
think
this
there's
is-
lines though that you can't cross,
'Cause-
even if you make the only space technology that the
Bullshit.
the
You can
U.S.
cross.
has access to.
You can cross them because it's truth, it's fact. That's just where I would go. Then the
Right, but
next
if you
point
don't
I'm
wanna
getting
get
ready to
shot at,
say
is the point.
is Elon's success right now, as he's maybe moved to the right and has physically moved his companies to Texas. Is that what Zuckerberg is trying to do by growing the beard and the hair, looking
Let's
more like
hope.
the surfer dude, and calling himself a libertarian? Is that what's
Let's
That
hope.
was
Let's
real?
hope
That
that
was
he
Zuck.
follows the model. Right?
My
Because
God,
it would be a
that-
better Facebook if he did.
Zuck growing his beard out actually makes him look more like Portney
An alien
from
Yeah.
Barstool. With that
Yeah,
too, he just
Barstool
looks like an
Report.
alien. Yeah, Barstool Report.
Did you see the video of him trying to build that gate, the fence, with a hammer?
I
He'd never,
did.
Never
Yeah,
used a
that's-
hammer before in his
Good
life.
for-
It's so funny.
Yeah. But you know
Oh
what?
my
Good
God.
for him though. I will say
Yeah.
good for him.
You know what?
But
Right.
that's what happens when you go to Michigan.
This
Oh.
We gotta
image
accept
right here.
converts, man. We got to accept converts. If we don't
This
accept
image-
converts, then we can't win.
This image right here, that
Yes.
bat is the Intel superstate. That bat represents government. That bat represents the neocons.
I don't think of what it
Mhm.
mean.
The
I know what it
2%
means.
is where
I
all the
can't
strength
say.
of the swing comes from, though.
I can't say. You guys know what it means, right? You're just joking, right? Am I right or no?
The 13%.
Yeah. Do you know what it means?
I
13
think I do.
families. Does
No?
it have something to do with the 13?
Come on, you guys. Come on.
No?
No,
Okay.
no.
It's not empty.
Let's
Shoot.
talk.
Maybe
Well, if we're
Let's say.
talking typically percentage-wise, then what we're talking about is social stratification by wealth, right?
Yeah.
That's typically what it implies. So the top 13% provide the club,
I can't believe you don't know that.
As-
and
how
the
about
2% provides the
offensive.
strength of the
Kazarian.
swing.
It's very
Kazarian.
That's what I read.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Okay.
expose it to you here, and it's very offensive. So
Kazarian.
don't. I just know what it is. Okay. This is what it relates to. Me
Stripes.
realizing the crime
Colonies.
statistics are on our flag. You have 13 stripes and you have 50%.
God.
That's-
Oh,
anyway,
neat.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
And so this then is so what's the 2%? Come on, guys.
Oh God.
You can do this. What's the 2%?
Rothschilds.
Rust.
Man, it's like you can't use the words anyway. All right. That's funny. I'm sorry. It is funny. It is funny, and it's like you have to know these things when you're the king.
Call me unconverted on this point.
Which one? The 2% or the 13% or the 50%?
Just the general.
Those are all statistics. Those
the
are
general
all
architecture of the structure being primary as opposed to secondary to other phenomena.
Well, everything. Nothing is absolute, but there are some patterns that people notice, and
I think it's an effect, not a cause.
And I will tell you, when something gets banned, that's when I say, "Holy shit! I better understand what that is," because they wouldn't ban it if it wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been wrong about that, ever. So,
oh boy, I love this meme. I really love this meme.
I have a little news that's weird, and that I talked about it yesterday with IM Linktree. That Naomi Brockwell was on that project for a while and all that.
Yeah.
So I got banned, I think, right after J, and then the number that comes after 5.
Gotcha.
They cut me off. I sent her a message because she was the only person I knew with the project, whatever. She's like, "Oh no, I'm not really. I'm just kind of like promote their stuff, whatever." And September 23rd, I get 2 emails back to back that I have been reinstated and unbanned.
Oh, nice.
September 23rd. What happened on the 23rd?
I don't know, but I have forgotten about the whole thing. Like, I don't use it anymore.
I told you about the one with what's the one where in a family member, I told you the story before, was on whichever site it was where you can find like a nanny or find somebody to watch your kid or whatever. And they saw a post where it was freaking obvious, and she asked me, "Does this sound fishy to you?" And it's like, they're trafficking that kid, right? And so she's like, "What?" And so she read into it, read the rest. It was obvious they were selling this kid on this site, and
Are you talking about
of Northern California.
You talking about that furniture store, that online furniture store?
No. This was I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one that you go to.
It's like a gig.
Yeah, but and like so she reported it, and what they do, they banned her immediately for reporting it.
Wow.
So she asked me, I took all of the data and sent it into the white collar crime group, so they know to watch me now.
Yeah, because you're a troublemaker.
Right.
No, I just thought it was wild because, like, I appealed that 4 years ago.
4 years ago, my God!
And then all of a sudden, I get these emails that I'm forgiven and I can come back to their defunct company.
Is Handsome Sam out yet?
No.
His girlfriend got 2 years.
And he received what, 12 years?
12 years. That's so fucking hilarious.
He'll not spend it in there, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
And it's going to be a cushy place. He's going to be where.
Well, I mean, and in fairness, that's probably justifiable considering the people that are supposed to be in prison are the people with
but then you start
by a dark alley.
But
what do you think of this well?
But then you realize Ross Ulbricht is starting his 12th year of
that guy
life
needs
sentence.
To be out ASAP.
Yes.
Did you think Trump's going to... Here's the real question. Trump's probably going to win. It is rigged for Trump.
He was a prototype case of a developer being held accountable for the crimes of the...
How long do you think before Trump pardons Ulbricht?
Well, at the crypto conference, did he say day one?
Yeah, he said he was going to do it right away.
Let's see. Do you guys believe that?
I'll believe it when I see it.
Me too.
That's one reason
I hope
to
he
vote
does
for
it.
Trump.
He needs
There's
to.
a reason to vote for Trump.
He's going to win anyway. You don't need to vote for him.
It's an easy promise to keep because he doesn't have to ask anybody's permission to use that power.
Yeah.
Why didn't he do it before? Why didn't he pardon Assange before? Assange is one of the reasons he was threatened. Made it in 2016.
Probably because he was threatened.
I still think
he didn't pardon Assange because he was trying to work out a deal to try to frame Hillary.
I think he did. I think Assange has been living somewhere safe and sound.
He was pissed off at Assange a bit because Pompeo got in there, right?
Yeah. This is a good pattern here. I want to see what you guys think of this. Cop turns off body camera, kills a person. Fireman, wait, a dog's in the building. I'm going back in.
Yeah.
I think
pretty
it's a great
much.
one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
I don't know. The firemen lately in North Carolina, people would
I
disagree
don't know if
with
the real
you.
firemen are
No
they?
shit, yeah.
There.
Well,
Let's see.
there you have to get a
Uh,
fire department escort to get into the disaster area, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just heard they were stopping people from helping
Oh,
people.
this is a great one. And sorry for all. I mean, this is just these are the memes that pop up, guys. You know.
No, there's a pattern.
very-
Remember, pens at
How
ready.
very
SEC.
offensive.
Yeah. Zach's being the opposite guy today.
Okay. We need to. We
I'm
need to.
always-
We need to
wrap
cut
it
out.
up. Oh my gosh, it's 55.
So okay. So let's go with.
You gotta be quick.
Let's start with Zach. What's going on this week? Quickly.
We're great.
Oh well, what happened to Greg?
I don't know.
He freeze again? But you can catch me and Andrew every Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern, live. So on the Legacy Right, we're still doing our thing, still trying to research and
Right
get
on.
out there, learn a little bit more. So
It's
on the
way.
blockchain for myself, but if you just check out the Legacy Right every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Right on. William.
Well, follow me on Den.Social. I am for I am, and you can follow me on X at I am for I am we. Also, did a show yesterday with Lisa on censorship. That was fun. And Lisa, by the way, I will be in New Orleans with the missus for a
Oh.
4-day vacation break or whatever. So I will miss our show for Monday.
On Monday.
But so we're going to have fun in New Orleans.
Oh, good.
Right on.
Good.
Right on. Lisa.
Well, we just got back. We had our big meetup in Metamora, Illinois. We had a great turnout and had a great time with a bunch of people. We had a bunch of new people come this time, so it was great to got some new wallets opened up with crypto, and people were passing that around, educating people. So that was a lot of fun. And then this week, we've just had a whirlwind great show with I Am and well, Sean didn't show up. It was just I Am yesterday. I also had a great show with Dr. McDaniel about dementia and nutrition, how that affects it. And then I do my big happy hour every Friday at around 5-ish Central. So join me there.
Truth Tuesdays with Sean.
Yes.
Excellent. Greg.
All right, so I'm going to just briefly encourage everybody to try livegen.is. If you go there, you can get any book, and it's free. Even stuff, especially stuff that's out of print. I'd also like to add that if you haven't yet, check out Nobody Wants to Talk About Jacob Applebaum, because it explains exactly how COINTELPRO is still working today.
Nice. And for me, to make it quick, check out Dracaria World on X. I'm on a Spaces at 1:30 12:30 Central, 1:30 Eastern, in about 25 minutes or so, to give away another gateway key and to go over entropy capture and extension of genomes. Also, I was on Web3 Global Spaces with, I think there were 6 or 7 other projects on there, and they went through questions. And I want to stick around after we close out, guys, because I want to ask you a question, see if we want to change one thing on a format, because it was a pretty great format, really friendly, all positive, really good questions, really good answers. Go watch that; it was pretty cool. And that's it. So I will see you guys all next week. And thanks. Next week is, let's see here. Sorry. Next week, I'm totally in the wrong one. Blockchain for real estate in 2024.
Ooh.
All right. So that'll be interesting. And that's it. All right. So we will, as soon as I can find the right thing here. Oh, I'm just going to close out because we don't have enough time. All right. See you guys later.